Hello, and welcome to the Truth Movement. My name is Ryan Prescott. I'm the owner and founder of this movement. On this subject, we're going to go over the technology of study. This is to help you increase your grades, your understanding, your application of what you study in school and also in life. When you're studying something for your job or even in college or high school or whatever it is, you can actually use this information. Um, this is taken from um, the Technology of Study booklet that is found in the Scientology Handbook. So let me go ahead and read this to you so you can have some kind of mindset as to what we're going over, right? What's your viewpoint on this, right? So consider this for a moment. In all your schooling, did anyone ever teach you how to study something? Today, people are graduating school unable to read or write at a level adequate to hold a job or deal with life. It is a huge problem. It is not that subjects cannot be learned. What isn't taught is how to learn. It is the missing step in all education. L. Ron Hubbard filled this gaping hole by supplying the first and only technology of how to study. He discovered the laws on which learning is based and developed workable methods for anyone to apply. He called this subject study technology. This technology provides an understanding of the basics of learning and supplies exact ways to overcome all the pitfalls one can encounter during study. Study technology is not speed reading or memory tricks. These have not been proven to raise one's ability to comprehend what was studied or to raise literacy. Study technology shows how one studies in order to comprehend a subject so one can apply it. Contained herein is only a small portion of the entire body of study technology developed by L. Ron Hubbard. Regardless, this brief overview contains fundamentals which you can use to study more effectively. With this technology, any subject can be learned by anyone. Wow. So right there, imagine, having a goal and a dream, right? And you just, you've studied all this stuff about it and you still didn't understand it. You couldn't apply anything you studied, anything you heard, anything you were taught, right? You just memorized a bunch of stuff, but you couldn't go out and apply it. You couldn't go out and use it and be successful in that field or do anything in that field. That pretty much suck, right? That's what's happening in the the educational system right now, school system, in general. The curriculum's not based on application; it's based on memory. It's based on getting the great grades, examinations, right? It's how to memorize and how to remember, and that's about it. So let me just go ahead and read just a couple of lines from this section in the material called Why Study. So with all the emphasis placed on education in our society, it is remarkable to realize that there has never been an actual technology of study or a technology of education. That sounds very far-fetched, but it is true. There was a school technology, but it didn't have too much to do with education. It consisted of the technology of how you go to school, how you get taught, and how you get examined. But there was no actual technology of education or study. Lacking such a technology, people find it difficult to achieve their goals. Knowing how to study is vitally important to anyone. Okay, based on that, that's pretty severe, right? I mean, it's pretty huge to have that viewpoint because, I mean, how do you call it study when you can't apply it? Aren't you studying to learn something? Aren't you studying to find out how you can become something you want to become or whatever? That's the deal. That's what we're looking at right now. That's the solution. So the first little gate that has to be open to embark upon study is the willingness to know. If that gate remains closed, then one is liable to get into such things as a total memorized word-for-word system of education, which will not result in the gain of any knowledge. Such a system only produces graduates who can possibly parrot back facts, but without any real understanding or ability to do anything with what they have been taught. That's a robot society. It's not real learning, right? You're in a university, you're in college, you're in school. You want to learn the basics to succeed in life. I mean, really, let's just take that understanding for a second. Sorry, I got something in my eye. It's a live stream, so can't really edit that out. Being very, very unfiltered with you. But basically, you have to understand when you're studying, you're trying to learn more about something so you can, succeed in that subject or gain knowledge of that subject so you have more control over it. You can, apply it. So without that, you're pretty much just a robot and you can't think for yourself. And that's the school system today. That's the educational system today. Just a bunch of memorization. Okay, now, I do want you to really gain an understanding of why I'm telling you this information for yourself, though. I want you to look around and really just think about, do you remember what you studied in middle school? Everything that you studied, can you apply it? Can you use it? How about in high school? Can you remember what you studied in math class? Is there anything that you can apply there? How about English? How about algebra? How about geometry? And, all of these different things. Have you been applying that in your life, or was it just a past time thing? Think about that for a little bit. I want you to go ahead and, by the way, comment info in the, comment info to get more information about this. Maybe you just want more information so you should make a decision about maybe even acquiring the material yourself. Also, if you're really just interested right now, type interested in the comment section for the material, and I'll just send you the link to get it. It's really not that much. And, really, in the grand scheme of things, in the bigger picture, really, that's what I should say, the bigger picture, you'll be able to apply things. You'll be able to have the techniques. These are techniques. These are the things you're missing, because there's no technology of study out there, but there's a technology of study right here. Okay, so now there's a next thing in here, and it's barriers to study. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just touch on a few things in here, but I do want you to read this for yourself. So, being a successful student requires more than just a willingness to learn. However, pitfalls do exist, and students must know how to effectively learn in order to overcome them. It has been discovered that there are 3 definite barriers which can block a person's ability to study, and thus his ability to be educated. These barriers actually produce different sets of physical and mental reactions. You probably experienced some of these in schooling and just in study alone, and you'll find them out to be very, very interesting. If one knows and understands what these barriers are and how to handle them, his ability to study and learn will greatly increase. Okay, so the first barrier is absence of mass. Now, in study technology, we refer to the mass and the significance of a subject, right? So by mass, we mean the actual physical objects, the things of life. The significance of a subject is the meaning or ideas or theory of it. So if we were studying about a pen, we got a pen here, right? So if you're studying about a pen and you don't have this in your hand, chances are, you're going to have some trouble. You're going to run into some trouble. So check this out. Education attempted in the absence of the mass in which the technology will be involved is hard on a student. If you were studying about tractors, the mass would be a tractor. You could study a textbook all about tractors, how to operate the controls, the different types of attachments that can be used. In other words, all the significance. But can you imagine how little you would understand if you never actually seen a tractor? Yeah, that would be pretty hard. So such an absence of mass can actually make a student feel squashed. It can make him feel bent, sort of dizzy, sort of dead, bored, and exasperated. So, have you ever when you're studying something and you don't have it in front of you and you've never seen it before and you're reading it and you're like, and you feel squashed. You feel like, or you feel bent. You're like, and you're like bending over, sort of dizzy. You just, dead, bored, exasperated. You're bored in class. Your professor or your teacher or whatever, or a student really too, could be saying something like, and talking about a subject, and you've never seen it before, and you've never heard of it before, and you've never touched it, and you've never dealt with it before. You're bored. You don't understand what the person's talking about. You don't understand what's happening, right? So such an absence of mass can actually make a student feel squashed. It can make him feel bent, sort of dizzy, sort of dead, bored, and exasperated. Photographs or motion pictures can be helpful because they represent a promise or hope of the mass. But if one is studying about tractors, the printed page and the spoken word are not a substitute for an actual tractor. Okay. So that's all I'll say on that, but you should read in the material. It's pretty great. Okay. Yeah. It's incredible. It's what's happening in here is it'll tell you how to remedy the situation, what to find, how to find it, whatever, right? Going through the line, going through all of it's a whole entire technique, and it gets you through that so that you can actually understand that subject, and you're not, what is it? And you're not overwhelmed, you're not squashed, you're not bored on the subject. You actually understand it. Okay? So there's that. Now the second barrier is too steep a gradient. A gradient is a gradual approach to something taken step by step, level by level, each step or level being of itself easily attainable, so that finally complicated and difficult activities can be achieved with relative ease. The term gradient also applies to each of the steps taken in such an approach. When one hits too steep a gradient in studying a subject, a sort of confusion or reelingness, a state of mental swaying or unsteadiness, so like, right, results. This is the second barrier of study. So if you've ever, you're like, everybody's dealt with this, building an IKEA furniture, and you're putting it together. Have you ever felt confused? I bet you have. I have. Okay, it's like a too steep a gradient. We either skipped this step or we didn't understand the step. The picture was, confusing, whatever. Some people have mastered it. They're great. But other people are just like, what is this? And they're very, very confused. And it takes hours. Okay, so the remedy for too steep a gradient is to cut back the gradient. Find out when the person was not confused about what he was studying, and then find out what new action he undertook. Find out what he felt he understood well just before he got all confused. Okay, you will discover that there is something in this area, the part he felt he understood well, which he did not really understand. When this is cleared up, the student will be able to progress again. When a person is found to be terribly confused on the second action he was supposed to know or do, it is safe to assume that he never really understood the first action. Again, I'm going to let you go ahead and read the rest of that and find out, there's a technique to that. And by the way, I am not trying to sell you a whole book. I'm reading off of a huge, thick book. I'm actually just I'm offering you a booklet. It's like $5, right? And the booklet will explain how to apply the information. Super simple. So when you go ahead and you comment info, I'll send you more information. If you comment interested, I'll send you the link to that booklet, and you can get it. Super cool. Okay, cool. And the third most important barrier is the misunderstood word. So the third and most important barrier to study is the misunderstood word. A misunderstood word is a word which is not understood or wrongly understood. An entirely different set of physical reactions can occur when one reads past words he does not understand. Going on past a word that was not understood gives one a distinctly blank feeling or a washed out feeling. Interesting, huh? So, let's see. Why don't we go ahead and go on with more, and then I'll explain a little bit more, okay? So, let's go ahead and okay. So there's a first phenomenon of this, right? When a student misses understanding a word, the section right after that word is a blank in his memory. So if you've ever read a book and you forgot everything that you just read, that's interesting. Huh. You have to, you can always trace back to the word just before the blank, get it understood, and find miraculously that the former blank area is not now blank in the material you're studying. It is pure magic, right? So have you ever had an experience of coming to an end of a page and realizing that you didn't know what you had read? Somewhere earlier on that page, you went past a word that you had no definition for or an incorrect definition for. Here's an example. It was found that when, actually, I'm going to go ahead and let you read that, because that's super cool. It goes ahead and kind of like explains a little bit more in an example form, basically what I just gave you. But if you wanted another one, you can read that. A second phenomena is a misunderstood definition or a not comprehended definition, or an undefined word can even cause a person to give up studying a subject and leave a course or class. Leaving in this way is called a blow. We have all known some people who enthusiastically started on a course of study only to find out sometime later that the person dropped the study because it was boring or it wasn't what they thought it would be. I think I've seen people drop out of school and class and all these other things because of that myself. I don't know if you've seen this. Maybe you were like, you know what? I don't want to study blah. I don't want to study, about, philosophy because it's, boring to me, right? Well, that right there, you left because you probably didn't understand something, or you thought you understood something, but you didn't. So it's so much more information in this, really, so much more. So I do want you to go ahead. It's vital that you get this information, because it also helps you try to define a word. Not many people know the exact technique and the exact tools to define a word that you don't understand or that you have the incorrect definition for. And there's various things that, you feel stuck on something, right? And you're like, oh, and you just don't understand it. And you're running up to a brick wall and you're just like, I need somebody's help or whatever. It tells you why you're going through that and so much more. So it also tells you how to really apply this information, like full on, here's a summary of how you can apply it. And you can base it off of your viewpoint and see, what am I missing? And go back and read more and understand it. This is so vital to everything that you're studying in your life. It's so vital. So don't miss out on it. Go ahead and comment. Really, I am just doing this to help you. The Truth Movement is here to help you. My name is Ryan Prescott. It was a pleasure to be on the live stream with you to go over this information. And please comment below or just message me on any platform, and I will totally answer your message and answer your questions and get you the help that you need. Thanks so much.